rush in, and he steals the Baron. How did that connect by Hiprain? Hello everybody and welcome back to the Amazon EU Masters. We're getting ready to go into our third game of the day. This is going to be a Go Rogue versus UCAM. Go Rogue, you know, starting off on a bit of a rough spot as they lost to a Northesis in the last game, and then for the side of UCAM, they're actually starting out pretty strong, taking out the undefeated Misfits Premier, the first seed from the LFL. And remember, if UCAM qualify, which they can do on a win here versus a Go Rogue, yes. If they qualify, that's all three of the Superliga's teams through into the playoffs, which is a massive statement. No, shut up. Fnatic haven't left yet. They've still got a Union Jack on their name. They're still an LC, baby.
Yes.
Don't do this to me.
I'm sorry, I know, but yeah, as you say, a win here for UCAM would effectively knock Rogue out. I believe, yeah, because they'll be out on head-to-head.
It just flat knocks them out.
As for a Northesis, I believe they would still have to win both their games, and of course, Misfits would have to lose both theirs, and then they'll force a tiebreaker. So, of course, just had this game on our screens. UCAM, Rogue and a Northesis, very lengthy battle, but it was a Northesis that managed to take down Rogue, and Rogue, you know, looked very much in control for some parts. Obviously, I feel that Northesis gave them a lot of control around the Dragons, but I just feel like they didn't necessarily play towards the strengths of their draft in terms of trying to play that 2v2 in the mid jungle, and they weren't really able to transfer into a massive or a larger lead for LICKR either. And as for UCAM, I mean, very strong performance. I think in their game recognized the strengths and weaknesses of the Misfits draft and the strengths and weaknesses of their own. And once they identified that you know, potential threat that Misfits could have if they ever allowed them to get on top of their carries, they'd shut it down immediately. And this fight, definitely, you know, a case study for that. Where like had his flash blown earlier, and then when they tried to go for the aggressive play here, were like already poked out from LICKR and can't really get too aggressive with another flash here, maybe to dodge out on an arrow or what have you, and it means that he isn't able to turn around this fight for you.
It was, yeah, it had a really good comp to handle what Misfits have put together. They had a really good read on it. Both games have been relatively chill to start. We've had fairly slow tempo games at the beginning. That last game had moments and then it fell into a bit of a lull, but UCAM versus Misfits Premier, definitely a bit of a lull to start us off with. And then the tempo kind of picked up. Yep. So I'm curious to see, you know, whether or not we see more kind of slow-paced games and lengthier games here. Obviously, UCAM, if they find that win, they knock out a Go Rogue, they qualify for playoffs. So it's going to be, you know, one that they probably will take very seriously. And we'll see, you know, what they decide to draft, if they want to go for that early aggression, look to snowball the game, or, you know, more of what they did there, lots of zone controlling, recognizing what the enemy team want to do and playing around that, because UCAM, that has been a big strength for them. Is being able to read it. Hantera as well was everywhere on the map. As soon as that Rift Arrow got picked up, he went, I'm just shadowing the enemy jungler. Yeah. He can't use this. It's going to be a completely useless buff, and it worked. It stopped them from getting first tower. They then got their own Rift Arrow and used it to crack mid lane open and open the map up for themselves. So honestly, UCAM, their just map awareness has been really, really impressive to me.
Yeah, I think not only their map awareness, but I think what to me evidently looks like very good prep, I think, coming into that Misfits game. I think in general, they read the overall kind of play style of how Misfits were likely to play. They also lent off of the Ezreal, I think, which is the crucial thing. Even though Rafitta has had, I want to say it's 2 performances, but at the very least one where, you know, he looked amazing on it. Again, you give over that agency, right, to the enemy side where, you know, Misfits love to play into Willite. So UCAM did a very good job in the draft. And then, of course, once they recognize the strengths and the weaknesses later on, they execute the team fights appropriately. And if they've done that same level of, you know, prep for here for a Go Rogue, they can probably have a pretty easy time, especially considering Rogue are probably going to be, you know, kind of a bit knocked off kill, having just lost to a Northesis. So hopefully for Rogue's case, they can stand, you know, tall and on 2 feet and come into this game on a level with a level head.
Well, while we got a little moment before we get going into this game, obviously, a Rogue did just play, so they, you know, have a little bit of time just to get themselves ready. We're going to quickly do a quick refresher of actually how this tournament is functioning, because, you know, maybe some people are joining us a little bit late, so we're going to roll a quick format explainer while we wait for this game to get kick-started. Voiced by, I can't remember, but he has a pretty bad voice, so let's roll the video. Hey everyone, and welcome to the European Masters, the tournament that pits the very best ERL teams against one another. 13 regions will compete, so join the hype and be the first to discover Europe's hottest new talent. Let's get right into it. EU Masters begins with the play-in group stage, where regions will have at least one team represented with a total of 16 teams divided into 4 groups. Each team will play against other teams in their group twice in a best-of-1. The top 2 seeds from each group will move into the play-in knockout stage. Here, the 8 teams will play in a best-of-3 against one other team, with the winners qualifying for the group stages, where 12 teams have already pre-qualified. The group stage is where teams will compete in a double round robin, with the top 2 teams advancing to the knockout stage. The top seeds will play against the second-seeded teams from other groups in a best-of-5, with the winners moving on to the semi-finals. Here, the final 4 teams will play a best-of-5 and fight for their spots in the finals, where there will be one more best-of-5 to determine the European Masters champion. Who will take the crown and become the next European superstar? I, for one, can't wait, so mark your calendars. It's gonna be a fun one. See you there. Now we're refreshed and caught up on how the Amazon EU Masters works. We have a good idea of, you know, what we're looking towards, because obviously we've only got 2 more teams left to qualify. We don't know who's playing who until the end of today. There'll be a draw done, and we'll be able to reveal the results at the end of today's show, so make sure you stick around for that. I also believe all that information will be available on Twitter as well, so keep your eyes peeled there. But it is the first seeds versus the second seeds. And, you know, it's one of those things where it's so hard, because we look at the current standings and the current groups and see who's first and second. I don't know what teams I want to be playing against and what teams I don't want to be playing against.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Obviously, this is the current standings, and maybe we can also get the groups pulled up as well, just as a brief reminder. But like you're saying, right? You know, it's Movistar as the first seed, but Big as the first seed, and of course, Carmine Corp as the first seed. And it's like, okay, I don't want to be second seed at all, but you know, even if you're first seed, you still got to potentially play against PDW, Vodafone Giants, or Fnatic Rising if you're coming out of group.
It's horrifying.
All of these teams, very, very strong teams. So yeah, it's you know, just to sort of hammer home the importance of the seeding here, right? You know, I think if you had to pick, obviously you would want to maybe avoid Carmine Corp, Big, and Movistar, given how they've been playing at this tournament.
Yeah.
But you know, landing first seed isn't exactly a free ride this time around either.
It's one of those things where I feel like obviously there is an advantage to coming first seed, because you do avoid it. Like if you're not Carmine Corp, and you know, Misfits and Pyrka, and you know, the first seeds do avoid some scary teams, and technically they are playing against the second seeds who are weaker. They've already run a gauntlet, they've been tested in a sense, but at the same time, weaker doesn't mean weak.
Yeah,
I think any team can beat any team right now. There are the clear favorites. There are the teams that everybody hypes up, and I think rightfully so. You know, Carmine Corp, the current standing champions, sure, they're second seed from their region. That just makes Misfits even scarier. That doesn't mean Carmine Corp aren't scary at all.
That's more of a wait. Carmine Corp lost the best of 5 to like anybody in a regional league. What? Like, yeah, like you say, Misfits. It makes facing them even more daunting. And you know, yes, they did obviously drop their game today, but quite frankly, if I was to pick a team to probably avoid out of any of the 8 potentially going into quarterfinals, I wouldn't want to be playing against Misfits. I think they've probably looked like the more consistent, maybe Movistar as well. That they still also have their clear issues, but again, all of these teams so strong, so scary.
It's gonna be a really, really exciting playoffs. I think back on, because I've been lucky enough to, you know, cover the Amazon European Masters since it formed. I've been here for all of it. And it's one of the things where I can't think back to a year where there has been at least there's always at least one quarterfinal team or a couple of quarterfinal teams in the playoffs. So you're like, okay, they're the ones you want to be aiming for. You know, you want first because that means you played them. It doesn't feel like that this time around. It really feels like it's maybe a little bit of avoiding, but you're jumping out of the frying pan into the fire either way. It's going to be an incredibly tight run in the playoffs, and this is probably the hardest playoffs I'm ever going to call. I think it's going to be really hard to actually decide who you think is going to be winning their games, but that information will be coming at the end of the day anyway, so we'll know who's playing who by the end of today. But let's have a look at this champ select for a Go Rogue versus UCAM. Thank you for sticking with us. We did have a bit of a delayed start to this game, but we are now into it. The bans have rocketed through Zigzin, Zhao, and Rakan from the side of the Go Rogue. The fresh, the Lee Sin so far from UCAM, and they're looking for their final ban. They are running down the clock a little bit. It is going to be the Camille.
Yep, so expecting the Viego for Lurox here. Of course, when they were in playing Go Rogue, Lee Sin and Viego were the only champions that he played for the duration of that part of the tournament. So no real surprise, and of course, just is the male Lee Sin. Zinzara moved away. Bit of a no-brainer. But they will push Hades down onto a champion not in that trifecta, perhaps. Leans on the Trundle, we'll have to see. But first stocks normally along those lines of just matching those junglers. Thresh is gone, so there's no necessary threat of like a full bot lane matchup, but line LeBlanc here for Baca into Chres. And we'll see how he wants to respond. And there's the Trundle, as mentioned just a second ago. I wonder if Chres is then immediately going to look at the Lissandra as that sort of one-to-one option, or if he's going to look into more utility. I think Lissandra, you can sort of match that one-to-one with LeBlanc. You're not necessarily going to get taken down very often. It still can be a very rough matchup just because of how strong LeBlanc is, but yeah, then also means for the rest of UCAM, you've got to kind of keep the mobility to a standstill for the most part, because otherwise Liss will just shut it down, and there you go, expecting the Lissandra pick, as well as FLICKR getting his hands onto that Ezreal, very powerful champion here at the Esports.
It's an absolute must-win for a Go Rogue just to kind of hammer that point home. Yeah. If they lose here, they are out, and UCAM are not going to make it easier. They lock in the Varus here in the bot lane. They got that LeBlanc, obviously, counter picked up by the Lissandra. We'll see how Chres is able to handle that as we head into the ban phase 2, see what the attention's going to be, because everywhere has been matched. The Kennen, I think, absolutely a solid ban here. We see so many people going for that. I'm trying to think what else has been left open topside. Obviously, the Relia is still open if they want to lead towards that. Is typically picked up as something that can kind of handle the Kennen in lane. The Braum ban going to get denied away. Obviously, great team fight utility for the team as well. So we'll see what the final ban is going to be here for the side of a Go Rogue. If they go for, maybe something like that Leona, pairs up really well with the Varus, gives you very long range, kind of non-committal engage.
I think because of the way that the support champions left up have actually laid, I expect another top lane ban here from a Go Rogue. Yeah, I think Aurelia makes a lot more sense because you still got the Leona. You got the Leona, Norless, and Alistar roll up. It's a bit of a sort of circle where one effectively kind of beats the other in most worlds. So UCAM actually have to take their time a little bit and decide which one they prefer the most. I would expect Norless mostly because into Ezreal, it has a slightly easier time locking him down, but they just want the more sort of confirmed, long-range, non-committal forms of engage that Leona can provide for you.
Yeah.
So now, on the side of a Go Rogue, if they want to look in at Alistar for that 2v2, they can. If they want to go for something more follow-up or more, straight-up hard engage, obviously they can lean on to that Norless, but they will take the more preferred matchup in the Alistar. And that's over the Sinmivak, who's still got quite a few champions available to him. If he wants to lean on that Gnar as sort of a crutch, he can. If he wants to go for something more lane-based, which honestly I feel like maybe Rogue are in need of a bit of a lane to play towards. Obviously they have the mid 2v2, but it's a bit more in the air when you're talking about Trundle LeBlanc. So maybe the Renekton would make a little more sense, but actually going to lean into the Gangplank. And actually I recall the last time I said, hey, Rogue have a composition where they'd want to play to top side anyway. They still put all their numbers into the bottom side. So I quite like the fact that they've gone for this Gangplank, because of course, the Cannon Barrage can affect that bottom side, if that is what they choose to play towards.
And I feel like if he did pick up the Gnar, Dreedy could have lent in towards the Gangplank, but he could also just take the Gnar and response himself as well. It's a pretty common top lane matchup here. So they are going to pick that one up for Dreedy. We obviously saw, Gangplank on the receiving end of the Gnar early had a really rough time, but as that game got later and later in that last game, he was terrifyingly strong, and now Dreedy, he's got his hands on the Gnar, so we'll see how he's going to pilot this. But the team comps are locked in. Jamada, talk to me about what they want to be doing here. What is the game plan for these teams?
Right, so, if it was any other team, I would expect, Rogue on this blue side team to probably play for the mid 2v2 just because they've got that counter matchup in the mid lane, and then maybe you look at, shifting the pressure over to, I would normally expect the top side because playing towards Ezreal and especially a Varus Leona is very tough, but I'm expecting Rogue to still play full towards the bottom side. I think that they understand LeBlanc is their guy. That is the person that deals all of the damage for this team so frequently. So if they can find an edge in the mid 2v2, great. But on windows where Chres has the opportunity to roam down to the bottom side, I expect him to take it. And as for UCAM, I think they've got a composition where, you know, you've got very strong skirmishing out of the Trundle early on with the LeBlanc for setup. I think trying to unlock each hover would probably be the key here. I think Dreedy should have priority up in the top side, and they should have priority in the bottom side in most cases as well. So a lot more freedom in the early stages, in my opinion, for UCAM. The first sort of 5 to maybe 8 minutes or so, UCAM should have agency to kind of move wherever they like. So a little more free-flowing in that sense, but for Rogue, it's definitely still expecting that bottom side focus.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Well, we loaded through on to the Summoner's Rift for our 3rd game of the day. Remember, this is a must-win for a Go Rogue. They're not 0-3. They're 1.
Yeah, there you go. It was just adjusted.
There we go. But
yeah, UCAM 3-1, Go Rogue 1-3. Go ahead.
if they get 1-4, that is it. That is them donezo, and they can only play upset at that point. If Misfits do drop their next 2 games, there is a world where Northsis could potentially force a tiebreaker.
Look,
Northsis have to win both their games versus Go Rogue and UCAM, and then Misfits Premier have to lose 2 games.
Yes, so just for complete clarity, I don't know what to call it, the Armageddon timeline, the
Armageddon timeline.
The full no one knows what's happening timeline is where a Go Rogue win both their remaining games today, and Northsis win both their remaining games today. And because they've played against each other already, that means that, of course, their games are against UCAM and Misfits respectively. Obviously, we've got the UCAM Go Rogue match on our screen right now. But that would keep Misfits and UCAM at 3-3, and that would push a Go Rogue and an Northsis up to 3-3. At which point, good luck, whoever is dealing with tiebreakers, because I don't think it's me. Hadess is going to make a potential early wrap into the mid lane. Actually, only has the red buff. Just going through. Just saying hi. And we'll path down towards the bottom side. But as expected, priority in the mid lane in the early stages. Lissandra can't quite secure it for a little while. I think level 5 plus a base is roughly where the threshold starts to edge over to her favor. And bottom side priority is also UCAM's, whereas actually Sinmivak found himself the early lane edge up in the top side. Got a wave crash into Dreedy. So expect Hadess to play towards that bottom side skull on the first one.
Well, seeing Hadess actually, you know, doing a bit of a different clear. Full clear from Lurox has left his Krugs on the bottom side. So not a complete full clear, but a pretty efficient clear in the amount of camps he's put onto respawns as Hadess blue to red and now, red to blue and now working his way upwards through his jungle. Does mean that both these junglers will be on the top side of the map for the crab spawn. We'll see if there's any action looking to break out here as Baca has got the pressure in the lane for the moment. So
yeah,
looking to shove this lane in and try and help his jungler contest this crab. But has to burn quite a few spells to be able to actually clear through the wave.
It's gone already. Maybe if Hadess does something crazy like flash, but yeah, there you go. Already gone. Definitely a bit of a curious decision, but I think the priority in mid and bot should still secure Hadess the skull if he wants it. But the issue is now, if Lurox takes a look at Hadess, yes, he'll recognize. Chances are the Raptors and Krugs still up. So could have actually gone and just counter jungle this top side if he so wished. But it seems like Hadess should be okay and just about snag away that bottom side skull, though Lurox is actually thinking about prodding his head but recognizes and there's no priority for him to work with.
Not going to go for that one. But Hadess is honestly, you know, his pathing has been somewhat inefficient when...
Inefficient to the sense of like not farming up, yes. But yeah, I think when you're playing Trundle, you're normally aiming at trying to find some early game impact. So I'm not too surprised at it. Of course, it does mean Lurox will accrue for himself a pretty large individual lead. Hadess still level 3, 20 CS, whereas Lurox full cleared, got on a skull. His Krugs obviously won't respawn for a little bit of time, but at the end of the day, he is still going to be sitting pretty comfortable on this first reset. As I agree, that was a lot of damage.
Tried to interrupt the barrel, but ate the barrel.
Yeah. power of Sheen Gangplank. So oppressive. Once he gets that first item. Or component. It's not even a full item. But we'll see how Sinmivak can pilot it. Just had to deal with it himself. Of course, the reverse matchup. So maybe he learned a thing or two from the GLL top laner.
It's a pretty chill start to the game. We kind of, you know, remember this game does have some high stakes. UCAM win here obviously does secure them a spot in the playoffs. Where in the playoffs is still up in the air, but after them finding a win over Misfits Premier, does mean that they're in a position to contest first. For the side of a Go Rogue, this is their last chance. There is no other world where they can make playoffs if they lose here, so it's very much in both of these teams' hands, their fate right now. Because of that, I think we are seeing them playing fairly respectful to one another. No first blood yet. No real action. The junglers are just farming up. Mid lane's going to get shoved in by Chres, so now Baca has to back off, and we'll see where he decides to go. Got that level 6, and Dreedy could be on the receiving end of a little bit of love here.
Yeah, good window to roam.
This, though, as Lurox is able to clear out the wave, and it's going to give the gold over to Sinmivak. He's going to get himself some plates, but meanwhile, the bot side getting jumped onto. FLICKR, he's just going to try and get some damage off, but here comes the cannon barrage. Hadess ignited. The ulti comes out from Hantera. He's been locked down. Meanwhile, Dreedy on the other side gets killed for first blood. This is just craziness.
All right, I mean, first blood goes over. The Go Rogue, they went out on the top side, and technically on the bottom side, they defend. Or rather, no. I'm getting confused. I apologize. No, they did. They didn't lose the swap. What am I talking about? I apologize again. Pyrka managed to get out somehow, despite all of the bursts. So Cannon Barrage goes down on the bottom side. We see Dreedy approach the tower again. Feels safe, and just enough minions is what takes down Dreedy in the end. Takes the aggro, and on the bottom side, it was of course an aggressive play where Hadess tried to find his mark, and Pyrka kind of taxied him out. Had to flash away, actually, Hadess on the retreat.
Nice kill there, picked up for the top side, although for some reason our scoreboard at the top isn't displaying the kill, which is kind of
I think it is now.
Is it? At the top?
It's going up, but I don't think... I'm not sure, Jake.
No, the kill. It says 0-0.
But the gold. The gold
Oh,
is
yeah,
up.
no, the gold's there. I know that. Oh, there we go. There we go. The kill's in.
All right, wonderful. I think it was catching up. I guess the graphic was still catching the game. As actually, no, it's still going up. I don't know what's happening. I'll be honest.
Well, typically the gold does go up across the game at all points.
True.
Even if you're not doing anything.
Yeah,
You still get
correct. As 8 minutes has passed now, so the Herald is on the table for either team to take. UCAM at the moment, again, you know, expecting them to have a lot of priority around the lanes in general in the early stages, and they will just use this opportunity to allow Hadess to start the Herald and of course take it down. And there shouldn't be much of a contest from a Go Rogue, though. Maybe poke their head in, see what they can find. Even though you might find a bit of gold as Lurox, he's in the stealth. He's about to pop it. Won't be stolen away. And UCAM get that one free off the back of their priority.
Time's out. A little bit of a rough time for him. Wasn't able to hang around any longer. UCAM now looking to come in and contest this one, but the blue buff is secured by Chres, and the pillar goes down. Hantera doing what we saw out of him in that first game of the day, being all over the map to secure the objectives, secure the kills for the team. Making sure that he is here, and he knows Rafitta on this Varus able to clear the wave at distance, so he's completely fine to make these kind of moves.
Yeah, Hantera very commonly does this, specifically with Hadess. Him and Hadess actually coming into today had the exact same kill participation out of their first 3 games. So he's a duo that likes to pair up with one another in the early stage anyway. But I think it says something about the duo when they still manage to match the overall kill participation for their team.
I'm also, just as a completely irrelevant note, loving the synergy between the mid laners. They're both playing the Coven skins, but
oh yeah,
Chres obviously doesn't have a prestige version, so running as close to prestige on the Chroma as possible. Chres. Smart stuff there. I like it.
Yeah, I can respect it.
A lot of plays have been picked up by Sinmivak.
Yeah.
Sinmivak actually really started a bit of a problem. And from the items, looks like you're going for the Triforce build here, as he just finishes up.
Okay.
First Mythic completed, and that's a very strong Gangplank early here for a Go Rogue. So it might have to be something UCAM needs to keep in mind. They are going to try and trade out with a dragon, but it's only that Cloud Dragon, so it does give them the early dragon, but it doesn't really accrue too much more than just that. So we'll keep our eyes on the dragons and the stacking. The Ocean Drake is the next one, so it'll be a mountain or infernal. We've only had infernals so far. Sorry, mountains so far.
Maybe we'll go through 3 on the day. As UCAM still have the Herald. I want to say Sinmivak got all those plates without even using the Herald. Of course, Lurox wasn't able to steal it away, so UCAM still able to trade some gold back here.
Yeah.
As I think big worry at the moment for UCAM, probably the Gangplank for now. He's got a lot of free scaling. And Triforce being the first item means he's going to have a little more access to slightly higher damage than what is usually the Divine Thunder builds in competitive play. So have to definitely watch out for that one. And as well, going to probably be an advanced level 13, level 9 at 11 minutes. In a competitive Gangplank game, you probably call a success. Normally, you're the one getting bullied. That's the Gangplank.
It looks like they are bringing Chres over, going to claw over the wall, and Dreedy has to be very careful as he eats the Q. Sinmivak just going to run him down. Chres might not even get close enough for the assist. The flash into the kill.
You know, I think... Oh, kind of barrage dropped away mid lane just to clear the wave, yeah. Nice heads up from Sinmivak. I think Sinmivak might not have even needed to flash because he had that Triforce stacked up damage, and now UCAM going to respond with free place in the mid lane. As Pyrka can eat a little bit of hook damage on the way out. So gold traded, but at the end of the day, Gangplank might actually secure first tower.
Quite happily proxy farming, waiting for the wave to go as low as possible so Dreedy loses more and more gold.
Yeah.
We'll be able to pick this one up, but just making sure that Dreedy doesn't get anything.
Yeah.
Wave's going to come in with a second wave to crash, but Dreedy has to be careful because Sinmivak 2 levels on. They're flashing in. They're looking for the kill onto Baca. Baca able to jump away. Hadess gonna force the flash out as he just flashes over. In comes Baca over the wall. Got the chains to work with. They're gonna connect to the Chres. Chres is rooted in place, but they can't chase for anything else. First tower went down in the meanwhile. The Sinmivak with plates and everything. That's a fair Gangplank and a Go Rogue. They may have lost to an Orpheus, but they are not willing to go out without a fight.
No, absolutely not. And whilst that was going on, UCAM on the bottom side, Rafitta picked up a whole bunch of plates for himself, forced LeBlanc off a couple of waves too. Actually almost at parry with one another, but Rafitta did finish up that Duskblade. So he is at that first iron mark, just has to stack up the tier and of course finish off the Manamune into the Muramana. And he will be more than online. And again, spoke briefly about how we expected this game to go. Surprisingly, Rogue have actually been playing more towards that top side. We saw a similar-esque composition coming out of Rogue in week 1 where they had Ezreal, and definitely expected them to play towards the top side where they had a Renekton, I believe, into a Gnar. And the option was still to play into LeBlanc. This time around, definitely still reaping benefits because Ezreal farming up quite comfortably in the bottom side while Sinmivak procuring a pretty big lead up here. Must be approaching level 11 quite quickly and has quite a significant lead 1-to-1 over Dreedy.
Well, as we are approaching that 15-minute mark, so we can see the items that have been finished up. Obviously, we talked about that Triforce and Sinmivak quite a while ago. It's now building towards that next item as the Duskblade onto Rafitta has been finished up. Manamune onto LeBlanc. Luden's Tempest onto Chres and the Divine Thunder onto Lurox. They got a Divine Thunder on Hadess as well, but it's only 2 mythics, 2 complete items for UCAM right now. 3,000 gold lead is starting to, be a bit of a problem. Although Baca is hunting Chres, although Chres has got the backup of his jungler and has got that Frozen Tomb available.
Indeed does. Looks like UCAM may be setting up here for a Herald. They've got obviously the bottom side of Rafitta moved up. Oh, potentially don't think Rogue had vision of where Rafitta was, otherwise they would have continued to advance there onto the AD of UCAM. But setting up for that Herald, get the movement out of the bottom side, turn it into mid lane priority, still pick up that Herald. Not going to look to contest it. Rogue feel like they are not quite strong enough just yet, and honestly, I can agree with this decision. Sinmivak already far enough ahead, and LeBlanc gets to stay bot, pick up a bit more gold to advance him to that 2-iron mark. So even though Rogue will lose out on this Herald, I don't feel like they care too much, and it's going to be more about how UCAM actually use this Herald.
My assumption is they go mid, and that is exactly what's happening here. Hadess is going in, Chres is going to claw back, the chains are going to pop, and actually does have the ult on himself and needs to use it. Waiting for Baca to shift in forwards, but not going to give him the opportunity. The tower charge goes down, and they might be able to find a second one here with the amount of damage put onto Chres. Feels like he might struggle to be able to actually hold this. So the second charge will come out. Will they get the tower? Looks like the answer will be no. There's a lot of wave clear on Chres. So he's able to hold, but nice little heads up play there from UCAM, and not really too much answered out with on the other side.
Yeah. Indeed, LeBlanc wasn't able to pick up a bottom side tower, so there's no gold trade there, but he's going to be making his way to the Divine Thunderer, so he's not too fussed about it either way. Still picked up a little bit of gold to get him there. I expect to see the lane assignments kind of swap up. I feel LeBlanc will likely stay in this mid lane for quite a while now. And we'll see whether UCAM want to try and match that lane assignment too. Chuck Baca on the side that they want to play towards. Allow Dreedy to play weak side. Play with the LeBlanc, play with that Varus. Try and find a pick maybe. I feel UCAM, outside of the neutral objectives they secured, like they've somewhat sat on their hands a bit. Hadess and Baca haven't really been able to, force a 2v2 in the mid jungle properly. Haven't really been able to move to the bottom side either. It's more been Rogue with a lot of proactive play up towards that top side, and not really allowing themselves on the bottom side to get punished by any means.
Yeah, absolutely. So Baca not going to get spotted out by Hadess, and it is crazy how we've had some real bloodbath groups, but Group A has kind of turned into probably one of the slower paced groups in the way the teams are playing the map. But it does look like Rogue are looking to try and find a kill onto Baca, but Baca able to shift away to safety. Sinmivak has to be somewhat careful here. Dreedy gnarring out, but dodging away on the wallop means he's not going to get that CC chain thrown onto him. Still had the orange to cleanse as well.
Nearly playing with fire, but does manage to get away from it. Lurox almost found out by Hantera, and it seems like UCAM want to try and make a play.
They're looking to lock Baca down.
He's dead.
He's dead. Chres finds the kill with the flash W.
Yeah, Chres. Pyrka just deals so much damage back in return. Hadess just not able to do anything other than stand there and watch his mid laner die to that combination. Now Rogue pick up that bottom side tier 1. Now only really have the mid lane tier 1 to focus on. Relatively chunked out. It seems like they understand as well the assignment. They probably want to go for a dive here.
There's the counter bridge. There's the flash, and down goes Rafitta. Sinmivak's in the area. Gives him a quick bop. Secures himself the kill.
Very surprising from Rafitta not to flash away from the combo. I mean, he had full information what was going on there. Get a replay of the bottom side, and UCAM try and get aggressive. Baca tries to find the chains, misses both of them, and then the headbutt pole into so much damage coming out of that ice shard. Combination just too much for Baca to deal with.
Frozen Tomb doing a lot of work there. Chres is unbelievably strong right now on this Lissandra, and this is where you pick it. It handles the LeBlanc matchup very, very well, able to keep her in place. LeBlanc typically quite a slippy customer. Baca not really been able to have the effect that you want out of this LeBlanc. You want a solid jungle mid. You want to be able to rotate and turn that into objectives on the map, and it's kind of just being locked in place because of this Lissandra pick, able to just out-shove and out-trade.
And it does kind of make me wonder, right? Why not go for something more stable like the Varus in that first rotation? Do you necessarily have to show your cards with the LeBlanc pick straight away? Definitely a bit of a question that I'm sure, win or lose, UCAM will be thinking about, given the early trajectory of this game. Of course, it is a comfort pick, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But at what point does comfort potentially compromise the draft? In the sense that Rogue have been able to play their game quite happily.
Yeah, this is a very different game from what we had versus a Northesis. And the Go Rogue probably kicking themselves a little bit after losing that last game, but it looks like it really hasn't affected them too much. They've cooled off, they had that extended break in between their games back to back. So had some time to kind of reset and figure out what went wrong. They're warmed up and they're ready to play. Remember, UCAM beat Misfits Premier at the beginning of the day, so if a Go Rogue find this win, it proves that anybody can be anybody in this group.
Absolutely. Okay, says Rogue got a little bit of priority here. They're actually trying to force a play on some.
That is so much damage from the cannon barrage. He's almost dead. Rafitta able to survive, but that is going to be the dragon over to the side of a Go Rogue.
I think that was the Death's Door upgrade from Sinmivak, which just meant so much true damage comes out. True shot barrage, almost Rafitta just killed without being able to interact with anybody on Rogue. And I was gonna say, had the priority for that dragon anyway, almost picking up a kill and forcing out the enemy team without having to do much. Low effort from Rogue.
Look at Sinmivak's build. It's the quick blades into the Triforce. So, you know, not the typical build we see. It's just definitely going to be a little bit more damage orientated from Sinmivak. I mean, Gangplank's always damage orientated, but a lot more burst damage than you're used to.
Yeah, definitely a interesting choice of build. Not an item you see too frequently. However, it does, of course, give you more access to barrels on crits and, of course, the citrus fruit to cleanse, assuming you are landing those crits. And CDR feels absolutely wonderful as well playing Gangplank. So, loads of pros, not too many cons for the item. It's just that you're obviously giving up other stats off of different items. Things like the Sterax for more survivability.
Yeah.
Maybe something like collective
outright
flat damage.
Ooh. Wow.
All right.
I would argue the ultimate survivability is just not having anyone to kill you because you've killed them.
You know, you're not wrong.
That's some big brain stuff there.
That's play-by-play for War process, actually. If they are dead, they can't kill me.
I mean, come on. Orcs has given me the fact a couple of times during the Sea Masters where he says, do you know the team that destroys the Nexus has 100% win rate at the moment?
Damn. Who would have thought?
Factually correct.
Yeah.
That's play-by-play thinking.
True. It is. But Rogue, for now, a little bit of a lull, but they are just slowly suffocating the map up here. Looking to focus on the mid lane. Could even look at a dive, but I think the pressure alone, just trying to whittle at this tower, it's the key thing they're looking for. One or, at worst, two more pushes should secure that mid lane tier 1. But Rogue full control of the map.
I wonder if we're going to see the grudge come out from Sinmivak, or if it's going to be the Lord Doms. I mean, yes, Lord Doms.
You go Triforce, you go Navori Quickblades. My guess would be Lord Doms.
You need the crit, so I feel like Lord Doms.
The thing is, you've already got the CDR. Sorry, you've got 2 Gangplank players on the cast. If you haven't realized, that's why he's thinking about it so much. Yeah, my best guess would be that he just goes Lord Doms because you've already got so much CDR that going Infinity Edge afterwards would just make your barrels deal a whole bunch more damage.
Yeah.
Assuming he wants to go for that 4 damage build, which seems to be the case. Looks like free barrel doesn't find it, and Rogue should be able to secure this mid tier 1. Though UCAM Baca on the flank, they're trying to find him. Dreedy, out position.
Yeah, Dreedy's in for a whole lot of hurt. Then Dew jumps to Pyrka. He has the ultimate. The cannon barrage is doing a lot of work. The chains of corruption spreading through a Go Rogue, and Pyrka flashes away to safety. The double charge comes in. The arrow will finish up the kill. Through the goalposts he goes with the second one. There's needs to be somewhat careful. Teleport's coming in. They're bringing in some more backup. Dreedy's coming in. Look at that true shot. Dreedy stepping forward. They don't have the frozen tomb from Chres though, so Go Rogue have to be careful here. Remember, we talked about the survivability of this Gangplank build. Sinmivak is squishy. A couple of arrows could find a kill here. Looking for that barrel. Does do a fair amount of damage to Dreedy. Is there jumping? Not in. The barrel, sorry, the pillar is used as LeBlanc is feeling himself. The hail of arrows slow though, meaning it's very hard for him to find a Q.
The amount of damage from both of these teams, whether it's, you know, those max range 2-3 barrel part combos or just the Ezreal on the side of Rogue and then LeBlanc being able to weave in and out. Obviously worrying about Chres, but just double sigils, chains, all those arrows from Rafitta. Poke landing is going to be a very crucial thing if that sequence of play is anything to go by. Rogue looking for that mid-tier 1, just weren't quite able to find it. Engage onto Pyrka in the mid lane. Kind of barrage. Rogue just lose a little bit too much HP, more specifically the Alistar, as leave Halo Varus with those blight stacks is what picks him up. Ultimate can't keep him alive forever, and Rogue punished a bit. Mid-tier 1 still found in the end. So objective still secured for them, but losing out on that kill could give UCAM a little bit of a nudge forward. It's Rafitta's 2 items now. Very, very strong. As evident by all that damage he was just dealing now. This dragon, oh my god.
Wow.
All right then, sure.
Both AD carries are doing silly damage at the moment.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. They're not even necessarily too accelerated.
It's Gangplank, baby, so
yeah.
Watch Sinmivak.
Those barrels crit. Squishies on the side of UCAM. Gonna feel a whole lot of hurt, and I mean, neither of these teams want to give up this dragon, it seems like, by Scroger. The positioning, having to walk into all the poke. Dreedy,
Dreedy has to jump away. Lucker's continuing to poke. There's the cannon barrage. Chres ults himself to keep Hantera away for the moment. The barrels looking to get trained because they do hit onto Dreedy. That's a pretty healthy one. They'll have to find a kill. Fair amount burnt there on the side of a Go Rogue. And now that Dreedy's in Mega, it's going to be hard for him to step forward as he jumps in. And Dreedy going low. The chains of corruption are going to hit the Pyrka. He might just lose his life here. The solar flare to follow up. And that might just be all she wrote in this little chain of action, this sequence of events.
Rogue went out in that sort of extended fight. Going to be able to secure that dragon, and Sinmivak teleports to the top side. Oh, to clear out the wave to stop a cross map potentially from UCAM. I think the intent there. Cute little heads up play. And Chres still has that teleport, so if they want to play in 3 lanes, they still can. UCAM forward a bit in their advance to try and pick up that dragon, and it's going to mean Rogue 1 more dragon, and they will have that soul in their pocket. We've seen how much damage LeBlanc and Chres are already doing, and Sinmivak also ramping. That Infernal Soul is going to mean so much for the side of a Go Rogue if they can knock it.
Gangplank plus Ezreal with Infernal Soul is dead enemy team. It's going to be, I mean, I don't think it'll hit by that True Shot Barrage because they're all way too healthy, but they are doing so much damage. And once you got the Grudge finished up onto Lucka, it's even easier to hit those crit barrels because you got the slows. Lurox has to be careful. Baca misses the chains and does jump in. Does a lot of damage to Lurox.
Yeah, LeBlanc. Still very, very strong. She's not been able to find too much impact. Baca definitely locked down by the Lissandra, and just the overall play of Rogue doing a pretty good job. Just making sure Baca's never really had a very clear in to flex his damage. Again, I think it's Cannon Barrage pulled. Rogue may be looking for something, but I think a little bit too much distance between Rogue and that Cannon Barrage, so kind of wasted. We'll see if it leads to anything. UCAM around the Baron area, but I think starting up would be a pretty ballsy move.
Well, you have got this build on Sinmivak. Does mean, you know, he's pretty short cooldown on the Gangplank R compared to typical Gangplanks you might be used to. Remember, Triforce as well also does give you a bit of CDR. Oh my word! Dreedy has just popped.
Yeah, Dreedy again. He's been getting caught out quite frequently here. Kind of feels like he's asleep at the wheel. Chres catches him out. Yeah, again, it was Chres the last time too. With help, and now Rogue at numbers advantage. Oh, flash away from the pillar, but barrel chain. Even to Hadess, the tank, frontliner. 800 something damage. That lands onto a squishy. They're as good as done out of the fight. This will be a game of range. It has been a game of range for the last 10 minutes. It's going to continue to be a game of range.
I actually think if Sinmivak like 3rd items collector, Rafitta could get one shot by a barrel.
Nah.
No?
Nah, this isn't current patch GP, don't forget.
True. Oh yeah, true. Yeah,
if it was current patch GP, I'll agree with you. I think last patch, of course, we're on 11.16.
Yeah, you don't get 5 barrels to work.
No
with.
5 barrels, no, you know, extra crit damage to come out of this particular Gangplank. But He's got the pickaxe. Could be going towards the collector, of course. Also builds into the IE, but we'll have to see what he feels more. That flat leaf alley will definitely help him in hitting Rafitta in particular, as everyone else on the team should have some form of armor or resist by the time Sinmivak's third item is finished up. I think the more important thing though to talk about that dragon in 90 seconds, Rogue. They pick it up, that soul, UCAM. I'm not sure how much of a leg they'll have to stand on if these previous fights are anything to go by.
Also,
speaking of,
they're trying to find LeBlanc or Pyrka, but he has himself the ulti now, looking for that turnaround. FLICKR going for Hantera, not going to be able to fight it. Dreedy, Gnar's back, LeBlanc able to shift away for the moment. Hantera has the ultimate, has the stopwatch, able to buy the time. The cannon barrage also making a zone to work around. No Gangplanks made their way forward yet. Chres held the ultimate crucially, just burning that stopwatch. Remember, Soul spawning up in a minute. This is a battle for vision dominance right now.
Yeah, it is indeed, and the key thing, because of the timing at which this fight actually happened at, everybody's ultimates should be back off cooldown by the time we see them standing off in front of this dragon. I think UCAM, they're about as strong as they can probably wish to be at this point in the game. I think
Your Baca comes on your Varus.
Yeah, you got 3 items on your Varus. I think if Baca can, you know, finally actually find a way onto LeBlanc in particular, then UCAM can find some kind of success. But even then, they still got to worry about Sinmivak and Chres too. Honestly, I think Sinmivak, LeBlanc, oh my god, combo!
Wow, that damage! Look for the barrel, look for the barrel! They're trying to find it onto Dreedy. The stopwatch is coming in. There's the true shotgun, a little bit wide. Big arrow through the team from Rafitta, but
UCAM are just
one too many people tanking it up. Go Rogue are in position to secure themselves the soul here. They're going to get Sinmivak to do it, and UCAM are going to try and bait the rest of the team towards the Baron, but they've been spotted out by the Scryers. I just don't think they're going to be able to do too much here. Now that the soul's been secured, it's just oh so hard to even contest this.
Are we going to get the 4-way 3-3 tie? Because it's...
This would be...
I mean, we're on the trajectory, that's all I'm saying, all right?
The darkest and brightest timeline at the same time. Look at this damage, though.
Yeah, it's just so much. I'm not even sure what it is. Is it Chres? Is it LeBlanc? Is it a combination of both? Yes, it is. Hadess forced the flash out immediately, and Hantera, even through Aftershock, W resistances that Leona gets, it's just not enough. And even the response damage onto Rafitta as he tries to layer in that piercing arrow is absolutely ridiculous.
Is Infinity Edge for Sinmivak as the next item. Got level 16 on that cannon barrage. And I feel like if you're a Go Rogue, just get Pyrka to tank the Baron. It's your favorite bug, by the way, flying Alistar. And then,
oh, is it?
Yeah, flying Alistar, baby.
It's such a weird spectator bug. I'll never understand why it's still here. But you know what? At this point, I enjoy it. So
anyway,
yeah.
back to the
back to actual gameplay stuff.
I think Dragons off the map.
Yeah.
Bait Baron. You've got Soul. You just poke them as they walk up to you.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. There's nothing else that UCAM can really do about it. If they posture onto the Baron, Rogue, you know, UCAM only really have Hantera for the engage. It's got to be Dreedy that finds a flank, maybe. At best. And that's Leona with a W up, losing 300, 400 HP off of FLICKR is trying to find the flank, but Cannon Barrage is going to disrupt the potential advancement there, and that's it. UCAM, if they want to try and fight, they still the Cannon Barrage is down, but Rogue have Sinmivak in the area. He's teleported.
Oh, Lurox actually, bit over eager. Solar Flare flashed over the pillar and the Solar Flare. Lurox just about able to get away from that.
Yeah, very lucky, but does have to use his flash. That's the crucial thing. Without that, definitely an easier target to lock down. UCAM, I think, aware that this Baron is likely happening with that farm, will confirm it, but it's burning down so quickly with the soul.
I mean, you got two champions capable of doing a lot of damage to it. As look at the barrels, Hantera has the W on. Baron's been secured now. Go Rogue. It's the great escape. Can they find their way out? Pyrka heavily low. Shielding is coming in. Lurox is going to find the stun. One more arrow could seal a horrible deal here. Look at the damage from those barrels. UCAM have to retreat, and a Go Rogue get away with the Baron.
Get away with the Baron. Don't lose a single member. Don't lose Flash. Maybe Pyrka Flash. No, I just missed it for some reason. I can't remember. But he still got X-Flash, so he is A-OK. Gold lead. Over 6,000 now. That Baron in pocket. The Soul the very least, the bare minimum is cracking those inner towers, but you feel like just the tempo, the overall course of this game so far, Rogue are likely going to actually go on that step further and open up the base.
Chres has come over the wall looking for Dreedy, level 17 on Chres. 3.5 items, but I want to talk about this Gangplank because Infinity Edge has been finished up on the crit plank, and the amount of damage coming out now is going to be huge. If Rafitta is caught by a single barrel, they're out of the fight, if not dead.
100%. Power of the Gangplank, 1,000 damage on the creeps there. Potential preview for more champions of UCAM. And Rogue just kind of have to play the waiting game a little bit. Make sure they try and get the wave synced up. And they've got the poke damage, they've got the zoning of the barrels. And you can see Lurox just doing a great job of just standing there. Baron buffing up the creeps. Almost gets that mid tier 2. The rest of the Rogue doing the correct thing, sending in 4 members to the bottom side. It means that the flank angles are effectively halved. UCAM can only come at you from the left side of the screen or directly in front of you, unless they find a deep teleport ward, which quite frankly just isn't there. Oh my god!
Rafitta has to flash, almost falling to the GP ultimate as the tower is taken down, and Agoro just bust their way into the base. It's definitely been a slower tempo game, but they know how to play this right now. They know how to play towards their win comms. As Baca gonna have his chains broken as Lurox was forced to ulti. This crit flank is doing some numbers right now.
Yeah,
oh no, oh no,
oh
my word! Hantera has the flash! Look at secures the kill, look at this damage, it's craziness! Has to W away, Chres is coming on the flank, looking for the advance forward. That's a double kill, picked up for LeBlanc. They've locked Hadess in place. He cannot move as LeBlanc would be looking for the triple kill. Dreedy and Baca, the only two to defend the base right now. Chres does not have the ultimate, but they're chasing in. Baca has to shift away to safety. And just like that, a Go Rogue have kept everything spicy here in Group A by finding a win versus UCAM.
Not only that,
absolutely needed win indeed.
Yeah, not only that, they keep their hopes alive of making it to quarterfinals. UCAM now 3-2. Final game, of course, is going to be against an Orpheus, Famagusta. So on an Orpheus, you know, to keep the flow of things going here, we'll have to see, because they will be playing 2 games back against Misfits and against UCAM. It's a very tough, you know, run of play. But you know, they beat Rogue. Rogue just beat UCAM. Who knows? Maybe an Orpheus are feeling on form, but massive win for Rogue. Just to reiterate that, they needed that, especially after losing to Anno as well. They had to win that game to keep them in it.
I think for Anno fans and for Rogue fans,
I think for League of Legends fans
with that one. I mean, for the anyone watching this tournament, Group A has just gotten really spicy. There's potential for a 4-way tie. We'll see if we're going to keep to the script or go off. But for now, we're going to throw to a break, and we'll break this game down any moment. So we'll be back in a moment. A lot of moments. He's going to flash in, and he steals the ball. How does that connect by Edgeaway?
As EU Masters Champions.
and welcome back to the Amazon E Masters. That game may be a little low action, but what it means is it just completely changes the stance of everything coming into the latter half of the day. It means we could be looking at a four-way tie. It keeps things spicy going second half of the day, because we looked at the schedule for today at the beginning and we were like, ooh, second half of the day could be kind of rough actually if a lot of these games go the way we expect, and they don't. It was honestly, everything's been thrown up in the air, and it makes Group A still an incredibly, exciting group, Jamada.
Yes, absolutely. Of course, there are some big asks to get the dankest timeline out of Group A. But, Amorphosis took down Rogue. Rogue just took down UCAM. And obviously, Amorphosis still have UCAM and Misfits to play. And yeah, like you said, very, very slow game. It just felt like Rogue able to shut down much of anything UCAM really looked to do. And as the game went on, the zoning tools of all the poke, the barrels, cannon barrage engages were also spot on. UCAM just couldn't really find an in, basically for the entirety of the game. And it effectively just came out to a very, very slow choke where Rogue took hold of the game, and they took hold of it very, very firmly. And I think a lot of it you can maybe kind of accredit to, at least to me, I feel like the LeBlanc pick at the time that it came in. It just gives Rogue so much freedom to just go, okay, we're going to lock in Lissandra, and then we've got this mid-jungle duo which effectively gets to kind of neutralize the LeBlanc. And then they secure the Ezreal, and usually, I'm not going to say it's a bit of a sin, but you don't like seeing GP and Ezreal on the same team, because it means you typically will have a very weak side lane presence in the early game to deal with, and it sets up very easy dives. And if you don't have that strong mid jungle, it gets very tough to pilot. And in this case, Rogue actually had that, and they were able to play heavily into Sinmivak and push him ahead in this Gangplank Gnar lane, which he actually just played the reverse of in the previous game and didn't have too much fun on. So yeah, full credit to Rogue for just looking at what UCAM were doing and saying, why? And punishing just more than appropriately, to the point where UCAM just couldn't play the game for about 25 minutes.
It was the first crit plank as well we've had in a while, so that was hypey to get that one, because we saw a lot of the kind of more standard Gangplank builds, but that was a lot of damage coming out from Sinmivak. So great game from him, but overall that is an amazing win for a Go Rogue, and it keeps everything spicy here in Group A. We're going to throw to a break, and when we're back, we'll actually have a bit of a cast switch arena, so make sure you get yourselves ready and vibe on our Warner Song of the Day by Ellipso. So we'll see you in a moment.